Good morning. We are excited to join you this morning for the first session of the Rockwall ISD Special Programs Parent Learning Opportunity. My name is Melissa Melton, and I serve as the Executive Director for Special Programs. Please know that we will be recording the session today, so we will have that posted as soon as possible to our website, and then we'll also share it through Twitter, and we'll get it out to our campuses through Google Classroom, and we will also send it in our SMORE in November. But the Special Programs Department has collaborated with Dr. Sharon Azar to bring 2 more learning opportunities for our parents, staff, and community members for the 2020-2021 school year. So after today, we have 2 more opportunities that we would like to share with you. At this time, due to the pandemic, the sessions will be delivered via Zoom and also posted later to our website. Here is a flyer or a little snapshot of what we have coming up. We do have a session that will be held in February, and then we will have one later on in the school year in April. So Sharon Azar has extensive experience as a teacher, Regional Service Center consultant, and Director of Special Education Services. She is well known for her practical recommendations for teachers, parents, and administrators in meeting the needs of today's diverse learners. Dr. Azar has developed and implemented many innovative practices regarding work with students who have behavioral difficulties. She also leads districts with implementing inclusive practices along with specially designed instruction. She is well known for her practical recommendations for teachers, parents, and administrators in meeting the needs of today's diverse learners. Without further ado, please give a warm welcome to Dr. Sharon Azar.
Thank you, Ms. Melton. And again, it is my honor to be here and work with you guys this afternoon. So our topic is tips for learning at home and how to set up a supportive learning environment at home. So you're going to find that my presentation today is full of resources for you. So whether your child is learning face-to-face in the classroom with our teachers, or if you have a child that's in remote learning, you're going to find that these supports will help you in either situation. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen if I can get some feedback from the participants that you see a PowerPoint presentation on the screen that says tips for learning at home. Do you guys see that?
Yes, Dr. Azar, we do see that.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So again, Ms. Milton has given you a warm welcome, and I would like to extend that as well. Thank you for taking time out of what we know are just tremendously busy time. So thank you for giving of your time and joining this session. I will learn to put the slides in the correct order. We are going to break our presentation down today into 4 topic areas. One is the use of schedules, why they're so important. We're going to talk about learning areas. We're going to talk about tips for different age groups, and then we're going to wrap up our time together on collaboration with schools. So let's begin by talking about individual and visual schedules. Why should we do it? So if you are jotting down notes today from the session, I would like for you to jot down specific routines. So whether we're learning at home, whether we're learning at school, if we're learning at school and then we're coming home and doing homework, we really need to provide specific routines for our children. And what this does is it provides our students organization throughout the day. It decreases wasted time. It reduces confusion and downtime. So we want to be able to transition smoothly and efficiently from activity to activity. This is what our visual schedule will help us do. It will help us initiate tasks quickly and efficiently. What I particularly like about it is it helps students gain accountability or become self-advocates, self-management for their behaviors, for their academic work, and for following expectations. A little bit more of that will come along later in the presentation. But it's a visual cue of what we're doing, what is coming next, and we can make this very specific for our students and their needs. So, when should we put an individual or a visual schedule in place? And so, I've just identified a couple of times maybe that we should do this when a child has a significant disorganization, if they have difficulty in figuring out what's coming next. If it's a child with autism, we find that this is particularly helpful and beneficial. If we have a child that becomes inattentive, and even if we're working with students who are children who are demonstrating a bit of defiance or some opposition, you will find that these schedules are quite helpful. So, how do we do it? So we talked about what it is, we talked about when do we do it, and now let's talk about how do we do it. So I'm going to share with you some graphics that you can use, and then when you put these together, you sit down and you explain it to your child, what this is, where they'll find it, how they'll use it. You can tape it to their learning area at home, you can put it in their planner. You can laminate it so kids can wipe it off when they complete it. I'm going to show you some pretty low-tech schedules, and then we're going to move into some high-tech schedules. But really, this is to remind your child to frequently check their schedule. Very helpful hint. Make sure if they are inattentive, draw their attention back to the schedule. And also, by using the schedule, it can help if our kiddos are upset. You can really make the schedule the authority rather than challenging our students. And it's like, well, you know what, Sharon, our schedule says this is where we need to be right now. And it says that we have a break coming up next. So really using that schedule to guide the student both instructionally and with their behaviors. So I'm going to show you some samples. It can be anything as simple as it's broken into a morning schedule or an afternoon schedule. It can be that simple. I'm going to show you where you can go and get some graphics to use simple pictures that you can use. I'm going to provide some resources for that. I'm going to be introducing some links to you. So if you're a parent and you're watching this webinar, these links will be available to you, as Ms. Milton said in the SMORE. And so all of the links that I'm sharing with you, you don't have to jot down those websites because you will have this presentation. So I will send you to a blank daily checklist, to a half an hour, to an hourly, and you'll find what works best for you. I also have included a link for building a daily schedule. So I'm going to share that link with you. And Ms. Milton, if you could just give me a verbal, if on the screen, that you are seeing an article about building schedules.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so what you will find, guys, in here, you'll see a video that's a quick video on how to use the icons or the graphics. And so this is just really a simple explanation with links so that if you see my cursor, you can go to hit print cards, and the cards are free. So I did want to just take a few minutes and share that resource directly with you. I'm going back to the PowerPoint now. You should see the PowerPoint on the screen.
We do.
Thank you. So here are some resources for creating visual schedules, and these are apps. So I've included several that are free. So the visual schedule in the Social Story app, the Brush Your Teeth with Ben the Koala is free. A personal favorite of mine is ChoiceWorks. It's $12.99. It's well worth it. With ChoiceWorks, You go in and build the schedule, then the child slides it over to done. And actually, it works well for small children, but it works okay for adolescents too, because you build in a positive reinforcer. So when you finish your algebra, when you do this, when you wake up and start your Zoom on time, then you get, 10 minutes extra on the cell phone before we have to plug it into the charger at night. So you build in the reinforcers for the student, for your child. It's $12. Visual Schedules Lite is free. This for That is a great app. Visual countdown timer. So I love the visual countdown timers. There's several on the App Store right now. One of my favorites, let's just say they have 10 minutes to complete an assignment. So one of my favorites is it's a jigsaw puzzle, and the pieces of the puzzle are being put together, and it shows you how much time you have left. So they're watching the puzzle, and when they see it's almost done, their work should almost be done. So there are great visual timers that can be as simple as the sand dropping down in the timer for the kid to see. It's a lot better than just saying you have 10 minutes. So when really they can tie that in with a visual. First Then, this is a great resource for if we need to get our learners just into the habit of first doing this, then you'll have your 5 minutes of sensory break, or then you'll have your 5 minutes of we go outside and explore break, or just putting that first then in there. This supports behavior as well. And then the Pocket Schedule Planner app is free. It is equivalent to this, but it's a pocket schedule. So we all have to live with schedules. Now, here's something that I want to say to you. If you have students at home doing remote learning, it's so important that we build in that routine. We just started our second quarter, and some of our kids transitioned back from remote learning back to face-to-face. So that's a change. And so basically building that schedule for them, whether they're face-to-face or if they're coming home, you could have the afternoon schedule for what the afternoon would look like as they transition from face-to-face back to home. So I wanted to share those resources. This resource right now, I'm not going to click the link. I do want you to know that this has 33 pictures that you can use for morning, afternoon, and evening for home and daily routines. This is more of what we do in our house. First, we wake up, we brush our teeth, we put our clothes on, or when you come home after school, you have your snack, and then you do your 2 chores at home, and then we do 10 minutes of schoolwork. But you can build that in there, and here's some great routine visuals for just home routines. I have also included in here a practical guide for families for visual schedules. So I'm going to do a new share. And this is some work from Superheroes. It's from the U.S. Department of Education. It's done by a grant through the University of Utah. So it's free, and we can share these resources. What I like about this is it's written with families in mind, so that you can sit down and talk to the adults that are in your household, and how do we want to build the visual schedules to support our family. So you can build a weekly schedule that puts the family routines in there, but this was written not so much with just our students in mind, but with our families in mind. Again, this is from the University of Utah. It also has several resources in here that you can click on to get additional resources. So I provided you a link that has a lot of links in there. So I'm going to go back to a new share and go back to my PowerPoint. Do you see the PowerPoint on the screen, Miss Melton?
Yes, we do.
Perfect. Thank you. Now we're going to move into, I want to say this is my favorite part, but like I have three favorite parts of this presentation. So I'm going to share a series of resources with you right now, but I want to show you how it's broken down. You see, this is preschooler tips for supporting learning at home, K2, kindergarten through 2. Then we move to 3-6, and then we move to 7-9, and then we move to 10 through 12. So you see that these resources that I'm sharing with you support your preschooler all the way to your 12th graders. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to share just a couple. I'm not going to share all of these. You will have the resource. I do want to show you how they're broken down. So let's start with the preschooler. And do you see that from Child Mind Institute?
Yes, we do.
Perfect. Thank you. So this is from one of my favorite sites to go to. It has tips for educators, tips for families. You can see across the top here our research. It has some clinical care. So information if you need to find a clinician to support you for different areas. So I'm going to go back to the article that I was showing you. So this is preschool tips for supporting learning at home. So look how it's broken into learning and development. What developmental skills should we look for during this time? So what fine motor skills, what self-regulation, emotional regulation, social development. If you're taking notes, I would like for you to highlight, jot down social development, because in this day and age of social distancing and the requirements that are put in place to keep us all safe during this time, we do still want to pay close attention to that social development, working on empathy, turn taking with our students, and we can do that virtually as well as face to face. So how do our 3 to 5 year olds learn? And then what is the parent's role? So what would we do as a parent to best support our 3 to 5 year olds? So creating structure, again, based on the schedules that I just shared with you, we really can't stress the importance enough of that. Children need predictability just like adults need predictability. So that first, then building that visual schedule. Parents can also check in with the teachers, do frequent check-ins, talk to your child, look at those projects, and prompt unstructured play. How to structure your day. These are some tips for building that visual schedule, and then the types of play that support learning in 3 to 5 year olds. So looking at that constructive play, looking at that physical play, the pretend, sensory play, music play, outdoor play, and story time. There's some articles, some information in this article about screen time. So the American Academy of Pediatrics, before COVID, had said really limit the screen time with kids ages 2 to 5, no more than 1 hour a day. We know that during COVID, we're introducing screen time more than that for our young learners. So it talks about how strategically to break that down and really work closely with your family and with your teacher on identifying that screen time. So I'm going to move into a new share. I'm going to go back and I'm going to skip the kindergarten through 2nd grade. And can you see this on the screen, Miss Melton, grades 3 through 6? Perfect.
Yes, we can.
Thank you. So I will jump on to 3 through 6. I just want to show you how it changes. And one important change that I want to show you is, again, this is how to get the most out of remote education 3 through 6. How do these students learn? Um, and so it talks about how they learn. Again, how parents can best support students in these grades by planning ahead. This right here says that you don't need to create really rigid schedules, but build out what the beginning of our day is going to look like, the middle of our day is going to look like, the afternoon part of our day is going to look like. The use of setting realistic expectations during this time. Um, and, learning has changed a bit during COVID. So, what are those realistic expectations? We're going to keep them high. We're going to keep that rigorous learning going on. We're going to keep that direct, explicit instruction going on, but really setting those expectations. And that leads into thinking beyond traditional schoolwork. Um, I love the part where it says cooking and helping with the grocery shopping, either online or when it can be done safely in the stores. What's the best schedule? There's no right answer right here. And that's what I wanted to stress to you, that when really the only wrong answer is not having a schedule. So building some kind of visual, independent, individual schedule or a family schedule. Um, I want to move down right here. How do parents handle pushback from kiddos in grades 3 through 6? So it gives some strategies for us to work on, and we are going to do one of these parent sessions on just specifically on behavior. But I did want to include that during the training session today. If we're getting pushback, couple of tips that I want to leave you with today is we really want to avoid dismissing their feelings. We want to acknowledge them, show some empathy, hear them out. I hear that you're upset about that. Let's look for 2 alternative ideas. How can we still do our math and not have you so upset? Is it the time of the day that's bothering you? Is it the complexity of the work? Is it the duration of the work? So really try to hear them out, find out what really is the root of that, and work to come up with 2 viable solutions. I do want to say that focus on the positive. During this time, this is a time for us to celebrate successes. And so when we see a success, let's take the time to celebrate that with our learners. Let's take a time to celebrate that as a family. So that's grades 3 through 6 that I just went through, grades 7 through 9. And again, as I said to you, we have not just 3 through 6, but we also have grades 10 through 12. So it follows the same as what I just shared with you, that same process and protocol. So let's look at learning environment. What should the learning environment look like? Or if our kids are learning face to face and they're coming home and they're working on their schoolwork, some homework, working on generalizing that behavior to home or generalizing that information to a real life setting, what would a learning environment look like at home? So I am going to come back to the slide that I just shared because it has some fantastic information. But setting up that learning environment, I want to say at this point, let's plan for needs and not Pinterest. So I know that we can go on Pinterest and we can see the most adorable, wonderful learning sites. But what I want to share with you today is to create a place really that's for your child to explore and to be creative. So is your child an active child, or is your child a child that can sit for long periods of time? Does your child like quiet spaces, or do they like some sound engagement, such as music or some kind of noise in the background? What colors do they like? Colors can impact our learning. I can tell you guys right now that since we've been doing remote learning, yeah, I've decided I'm painting this house because it does impact. I'm going lighter and brighter. Um, but let's talk about what they find exciting. If we're looking at our younger learners, do they find superheroes exciting? If we're looking at our older learners, um, focus on the color, focus on positive in their room, positive signs, positive saying, positive books. So let's look at really what's important is, do they have supplies close by? Do they like seclusion to focus? Do they need that? Or are they okay with open areas? So those are just some questions that you could keep in mind. Again, I'm going to go back to the key is a specific routine and a spot. I'm not going to tell you the best spot, but if you can have a routine and a spot, I can tell you that this is my area that I teach from every day. So I've had to build in some accommodations. I'll show you one is this little back pillow. I'll show you accommodation number 2 is this heating pad that goes behind my back. There's also a couple of more. I've had to get a special kind of chair, a special kind of lighting. There's a lighting clip right here that I have put on the computer to put and make my learning environment, you know, a good option for the people that are viewing and watching. So as a parent, we want to make sure that it's comfortable for our students to learn. And so whether it's curling up in a beanbag, giving them a weighted blanket, just know that when learning is difficult, comfort matters. So I'd like for you to jot that down. When learning is difficult, comfort matters. So really looking at how we can arrange that comfort for our students. So when we look at it, our brain enjoys being visually stimulated, but not too much. So we have to find that magic spot between not having enough visual support and having too much visual support. So when you're creating that learning environment at home, look for ways to make it inspiring. I don't know if you can see right here, but I've put some of my favorite things out that are meaningful to me and inspire me to do my best. One of my inspiration pieces right here, if you can see where my hand is holding up this, is a flask. And this is from when I was doing work in Kazakhstan and Kyrgyzstan, and the teachers there gifted that to me. It's made from leather, and they pour actually milk in that and drink it from that, and it's a tradition that brings luck forward. And so when I look at that, it reminds me that all over the world we're working together to address these solutions and find ways to support our learners, and so it keeps me inspired. Again, focus on elements such as lighting, organization, materials, and supplies. Make sure that your students' books are there, their writing utensils are there, their technology devices are there, and any assistive or accessibility features that they need are turned on. During this time, I do want to take a minute to say, and Ms. Milton can add to this, but the district has Google supports that they can share with you. Google Read and Write. Ms. Milton, do you want me to pass that over to you right now? Let you talk a second about that.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, the way that we are trying to get the information out in a virtual format or an online format is through our Canvas accounts for our students, and in Google Read and Write can operate through, through a lot of the assignments that are provided. Additionally, we communicate through to our staff members through Google Classroom and Zoom. We use a lot of Zoom. So there are some accessibility features in all of those online resources, and it's just getting to know that online resource, but also, looking to your case manager or your teacher for help in identifying what each student needs and will be helpful to them.
Thank you so much. I do want to say that it's important for the families to know those resources that are available, and you can request parent meetings through Zoom. I know many of our teachers have virtual office hours. They're setting up times to work with parents to answer questions, and I love the idea of s'mores going out, those newsletters going out, that monthly resource that goes out. So love that. Think that's great. Before we end our time together, I do have a few more resources that I would like to share with you. So I'm going to go backwards for just a minute, and I'm going to share a slide that I said we were going to come back to. So I'm going to click on Learning Strategies That Work. I'm going to share my screen, and you should see a resource that says Learning Strategies That Work Now, Tools and Best Practices That Work for Students with ADHD. So if any of you are listening and you have a child with ADD or ADHD, or you have a family member, or teachers, if you're listening and you're working and supporting students that have ADHD, this is a wonderful, wonderful resource. So this is from the ADD Attitude magazine. And so I did want to share with you that it is evidence-based. Everything that they produce in here, they have an advisory board from the University of South Carolina. They have people from Oregon. They have people from Harvard, people from the University of Pennsylvania. So I love that when you go to this source and you look at the strategies, these are evidence-based strategies that you can put right in place. So right here, the part that I'm going to share with you are tools and strategies that work for parents. So the first several pages of this document is working with parents, and like it has in here, like, avoid using earbuds during online class time, and they talk to you about why you would want to do that. It talks to you about how our students learn best, structuring the day, working together one-on-one for the hardest subjects. So whatever subject your child finds the most complex, if you could build some one-on-one support time for the student. And then look here, the parent's 7-step guide to school at home. So I did just want to share this with you. Also, teachers listening in on this session, it has tools and strategies that work for teachers. So it has some wonderful learning hacks here on engagement. So this is a fantastic resource, probably one of my favorite resources that I am going to be sharing with you. Before we say goodbye, I do want to move on into some ways that we can work together and collaborate in setting up the learning at home. Gather books. Put text in front of your students. Put pictures that are age appropriate. If you do not know this book right here, I think everyone in the world should have this book. And it's called Giraffes Can't Dance. It's a wonderful meaning for all of us right now. I used this when I was teaching a group of teachers last week, but it talks about that the giraffe is encountering a lot of challenges and challenging situations. But the book ends with, we can all dance when we find the music that we love. So I think putting text and books in front of our students, I remember my favorite thing at school was the Scholastic Book Fair. That was when I was a kid and as an adult and as a teacher. But find those books, gather those books, put them in front of your students, and as I said earlier, create an environment where they can learn and they can enjoy learning. So let's look at how we can collaborate with our schools. In addition to what Ms. Milton shared with you, we can also arrange parent-teacher conferences. We can have virtual webinars, which we're doing right now. We can have online chats, multimedia activities such as podcasts or videos that we can send out. We can have curriculum nights. I believe you guys recently had a dyslexia night. And so you can have those kind of partnership opportunities where you're working together, school and home, to create the best outcomes for our learners. So spending that time together, building that collaboration, and then celebrating that success. Every opportunity that we have, I want us to take it and celebrate with our students, celebrate with our children, whether they're learning at school or learning at home, and they have an accomplishment, celebrate it. Put forth an effort, let's celebrate it. During this time right now, we really need to be celebrating our learners, and I do want to say celebrating each other, building that collaboration and that time between school and home, and really just kind of wrapping each other up together to face the challenges that we're facing right now. And again, we're all working together to create the best possible outcomes for our learners and creating those environments that set the conditions for those outcomes to happen. So I want to thank you so much. Thank you for your dedication. Thank you for your journey. And thank you to everyone who took the time to join us today. I'm going to turn the screen back to Ms. Melton, and thank you guys.
Hey, thank you so much, Dr. Azar. That last message was so powerful. And I think we're all needing some celebrations and needing some good things going on in our lives. So I appreciate your words, and they mean a lot to me. So hopefully we've shared that with all of you today. Thank you so much for this wonderful presentation. We hope that you appreciate the strategies and resources that were given today. An electronic copy will be made available for you through the district's website. Additionally, we will share the link in the Special Programs Family S'more that will be sent out in November. We look forward to seeing you again at the next Parent Learning Opportunity in February. We are not sure if that will still continue to be on Zoom or if we will be in person, but please know that we have the Zoom platform set up for those meetings in the spring, just in case we are still utilizing that method for our presentation. So please stay healthy and safe, and we're looking forward to no more rain. So I heard it raining during the presentation. Hopefully that has stopped. So we hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day and your week, and you have a great weekend, and we look forward to seeing you again in February. So take care.